into the daily bread. Daily bread, daily bread. You have all the tools you need to help you to succeed. Just take heed. Listen to Joaquin. The boy graduated from college, dropping so much knowledge. This is what we do, and we are here to educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, motivate, elevate. You can elevate your life. Educate, motivate, elevate. Yeah. Educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, motivate, elevate. You can elevate your life.
I don't think I need an advisor or coach to tell me to save my money. I know how to do it.
My name is Joaquin Thompson, Sr. Like millions of Americans, I struggled financially for many years because I was never taught the basics of personal finance. Today, I'm a financial literacy expert, author, and speaker that teaches students and adults the basic components of financial literacy.
I try to teach women in small businesses to understand, to have a short elevator pitch.
In the entertainment industry, we live in the moments. You know, it's all about being present.
The minister already got a jet. Mm-hmm. He already has a helicopter. Mm-hmm. So why do I need to be giving more money to the church?
So the magic of the moment happens in the moment. But that don't apply for finances. You know, that works for being creative.
Right. My goal is to educate, motivate, and elevate people to master the basics of personal finance. I show students and adults how to go from struggling to creating a secure financial future for generations to come.
And it's not a function for most folk of what you can or cannot afford. It's what you choose to afford.
Wow. Welcome to the Daily Bread with Joaquin Thompson, Sr.
As a church, I always like to tell the members, Georgia Power don't take scripture.
Right.
You know, it needs money in order to operate this organization.
Immediately, people are making these 3-second decisions about who you are. And so if you're not really sharp and you don't know what you stand for and you can't articulate that, you definitely can't market it.
Like a regular person has financial strain. So it's even more in some instances for someone with a history.
Right, with a conviction or,
right.
And like you said, a lot of people are already struggling anyway, but that's why I want to put that piece in there so people understand the importance of understanding, and you brought up a key principle, ownership.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm your host, Joaquin Thompson, Sr., coming to you live from Marietta. I know y'all thought I was going to say Atlanta. But we're in Marietta. We're in Marietta, and we recording live. We got our TikTok live going. Shout out to Tracy Johnson. I see you already jumped on real quick, but for those of you all that are joining for the very first time, my name is Joaquin Thompson, Sr., and I'm going to be your host of this show. It's called the Daily Bread Radio Show, and this show is about personal finance. And when we talk about personal finance, we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Because some people, they're out on social media, everybody doing good, flossing, flexing, you know, like we used to say, old school word, flogging. Doing all of that, looking good, you know, smelling good, but everything ain't good in personal finance because some people right now, they're going through a bankruptcy, they're going through financial stress, they're going through just not having enough money, not their income. They don't have enough income to cover all of the, you know, bills that they've accumulated. And some people just really just super stressed out. So what we do each and every week, 8 p.m., so make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow the show on TikTok, YouTube Live, Facebook. It's the Daily Bread Radio Show. All handles is the Daily Bread Radio Show. Just check us out. Let us know. But our show, like I said, we talk about the good and the bad. So not so much the bad, but the other part is it's people that's really trying to take a breath. So what we do is we talk about making money, investing in real estate and all those good things. We talk about crypto. We talk about income. We talk about, how to eliminate debt, and I'll get more into that. But we also talk about, like I said, we talk about repos because that's real. I mean, a lot of people right now in 2025, based on the data. So this is not me. So let's be clear. This is not me, but this is what the data is saying. So what we try to do is just educate, motivate, and try to elevate people to just take the information that we share each and every week and put it to use. Like, you're going to get entertained. We're going to do entertainment, right? But at the same time, I think for me, my biggest wish would be if I ran into somebody and we were out in Publix or Kroger or some grocery store or in the street, and somebody said, man, you know what? I was listening to your show, and it was something that you said, and I put it in, I ran the play, right? I ran the play, and it worked. So you talking to somebody who's 58 years old. So I'm not bringing you information that I thought about, I read about, I heard about, somebody told me about. I'm bringing you something. I got the scars. I got all of the scars to show. Hey, I got all of the scars to show you this is what it was. This is what I went through. So that's what we do each and every week on the Daily Bread radio show. So the name of the show, The Daily Bread, came from, I was born in the 60s. I was raised in the 70s. And my grandmother, shout out to my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, she used to read a devotional. It was called a Daily Word. So every week she would read the Daily Word. And when she would read the Daily Word, I was a little youngster. But I know she was reading the Word, and the Word was from God, and it was, devotional from the Bible. So I would listen to her as she would read her devotional, read her Bible. So that's where the daily came from. Now the bread part that was a terminology that we used back in the 70s. Again, we use it in the 70s, we use it in the 80s, the 90s, and I can't believe it. In 2025, people are still saying, man, I don't have no bread. I'm like, oh my God. So people still use it. So bread is money, right? So hence the Daily Bread radio show. Now, before we jump into tonight's topic, the first thing I want to do is thank our sponsors. We've been getting off to a really great start in our sponsorships. So first of all, I got to thank our sponsors for tonight's show. The first sponsor is the Starkey Law Group. And what I'm going to say to you all is this. If you in an auto accident, if you have a personal injury case, if you need a attorney that you can depend on, that you can go to what I call go to bed on, they're going to take care of you. Over 30 years of experience in the legal field. And a lot of people, like we talked about last week, 1 minute you could be doing fine, the next minute, boom, and now you need an attorney. And I'm going to show you why the Daily Bread is so important. So that's our first sponsor. I'm going to pin that. I'm going to come back and tell you a story about the Starkey Law Group. The second sponsor is mycollegefinance.com. So if you have a student, high school student, college student, and you're the parent of that student, you have to get these young people educated. If you don't educate these young people, they are going to become what I call the entree. So I don't know about basketball. I don't know about football. I don't know about soccer, cheerleading, dance, the band, chorus, what else? Judo, karate, taekwondo, jujitsu, all these different things that we put our kids into, right? All these youth sports. I don't know when your son or daughter become an adult, will they still be doing jujitsu? Will they still be doing karate? Will they still be doing football, basketball, baseball, volleyball? I don't know. Like, what's the probability of that? One thing I do know, 100% sure, 100% sure, when they become 20, when they become 21, when they become 22, 23, and on up until they get to be whatever, 58, 60, 66, 70, 80, whatever number you want to put on it, they will be in the financial literacy game. So, with that being said, make sure that you go and check out mycollegefinance.com. We have one of the best digital curriculums online that students can take at their own pace and learn the basics of financial literacy. What student do you know that don't need to learn about credit? Like, where do they make them students at? Like, who don't need to know about credit, don't need to know about a budget, don't need to know how to manage money, really don't need to know how to buy any kind of property, don't need to know about taxes, don't need to know about investing, right? Don't need to know about debt and the impact of debt on a young person's life. So if you know a student that needs to know any of those topics, check out mycollegefinance.com. So those are our two sponsors for tonight's show. And tonight's show, the title of tonight's show is Head of Household. Head of Household. So tonight, what I said I was going to do is take some time and talk about the position of the person that's head of household. Now, before I jump into that, let me give y'all a quick story, because I think stories kind of resonate with more people than you just telling them data and facts and this and that. It's all about the story. So I'm gonna give you a story. The sponsor of tonight's show, the Starkey Law Group, right? Last week, I'm show you how quick things can happen. And I'm gonna give you two different stories. Last week, I was sitting in my car, minding my business, on my way to work, and I stopped because the cars in front of me stopped. So I stopped, and then all of a sudden, wham! Somebody, I looked into my rear view, this lady just ran right into the back of, wham! And I'm like, oh, damn. So then I'm like, pull over, call the police, get the police report, go through all the formalities. I'm like, oh, man, damn, I've been in an accident. But this the kind of stuff you hear about on these radio ads, and you laugh and you don't think nothing of it. But listen, this is real life. It happens that quick. It happened that quick. But as soon as it happened, the first thing I thought about, I was like, oh, shit. I was like, I know how I got the call. Got there in the Starkey Law Group. Got on the phone, called the Starkey Law Group. They took my information. What? I said, yeah, I was in an accident. Don't worry, Mr. Thompson. We'll take care of it. We'll get it assigned to an attorney. We'll get you this. You don't have to do nothing. You just take your hands off the wheel. Just, hey, we got everything. I said, damn. So they had been a sponsor of my shows previously, and I was like, damn, that's what I'm talking about. The Starkey Law Group. Oh my gosh, they came through. Just came through like a champ, right? So they just took the whole case over, was like, hey, we're going to take care of this and that. And I was like, wow. Now, the moral of the story is this. Here's the moral of the story. You need to make sure that you have not good, because that's a little mediocre, great legal representation. You may not be at the point where you need to have a retainer, because you may not be getting in and out of trouble or in and out of situations that often, but you do need to have the knowledge of you need to have your go-to legal resource. You need to have that at all. That's like AAA. That's like anything. That's like your doctor. Like, if something go down, you say, hey, man, you got this new diagnosis. You like, ooh, I know I'm calling doctor, whoever, right? But having a legal representation or a legal firm or a law firm on deck, the way that we speak, just having them on deck for anything that may go wrong in your life where you need legal representation, the Starkey Law Group, they'll take care of it. No problem. You know, look them up. They're right here in Lithia Springs. And like I said, listen, this attorney has been in the legal field for over 30 years. He's been practicing law for 30 years. And like we talked about last week, if your grandmother been cooking chicken for 30 years, them little 5-year young ladies or young men, talking about they been frying chicken for 5, they can't touch your grandmother. Your grandmother been frying that chicken for 30 years. That's what I'm talking about. This young man has built this firm from the ground up over 30 years, and they are excellent. So that's what I did. So they take care of everything. I don't have no press. I just going about my day. Hey, they're going to take care of everything. They tell me go do this, go do that. I'm like, okay, cool. Now, 2 days later, co-worker, somebody was talking to me like, hey, I've been in a bad accident. I say, what? Showed me the pictures. Now, when they showed me the pictures, the first thing popped in my mind was what? The Starkey Law Group. I said, oh, you need legal. Now, you definitely need legal representation. Because I saw that car. That car was destroyed. That car is not running no more. That car was destroyed. So I was like, oh, this is what you need to do. Here's the number. Call them. They're going to take care of you. Woo, woo, woo. Next thing I know, the lady hit me back. And this is the teachable moment, right? This is where the Daily Bread radio show comes in. This is the teachable moment that we have to understand, right? When you have a legal matter is serious, right? Whether it's a personal injury, whether it's something involving a DUI, if it's excessive speeding tickets, whatever you need when you need an attorney. If somebody says you need an attorney, that's a serious matter. So I'm telling this young lady, like, yeah, reach out to them. She said, okay, I'm going to reach out to them. Then she reaches out to them, and then they say, she hit me back and say, well, no, I don't think I'm going to do that because they charge 33% or something to that effect. And I just paused. I was like, okay. I said, well, I just wanted to share the information with you. I know they're a great firm, and you're going to need great legal representation based on the way that I saw what happened to your car, right? And you may end up with an injury or you may end up hospitalized, right? I'm saying that to say this. Don't skimp or try to count. Don't try to count your professional's pocket, like worrying about if I get, say you get 100,000, say you get 20,000, whatever number you, say you get 10,000. If they gonna represent you and say, hey, give me 3,000, I get you 10. That's good. That's love, right? Or you gonna get whatever, 20,000, you get them, okay, I'm gonna give you 6, I get 14. And if you don't end up getting 14, whatever, right? But I'm saying that to say, when it comes to your attorney, when it comes to your accountant, when it comes to your doctor, when it comes to your dentist, when it comes to anybody that's a provider of services that is a serious matter, do not skimp and try to save money in those places, because the reason we're talking about financial literacy is this. A lot of people, the mindset is we trying to hold on to something that we need to be investing in, right? So when you listen to the Daily Bread and you think about things that you can invest in, if you get into a situation where you need an attorney, invest. And most times you don't have to invest up front because they're saying, hey, I'll give you, you'll get whatever, 66% of whatever we get for you on your behalf, right? You ain't put no money up. You ain't put no money up. So if you're doing business with somebody and they say, hey, You don't put up no money and you're going to get 60% of whatever we get. You're going to get 66% of it. If you was buying a building, what part of that you don't want? You don't want 6%. I'm bringing you the deal. I'm doing all of the work for you. You ain't got to touch no paperwork, no nothing. You just come to the closing and you're getting 66%. What is there to talk about? I don't want to talk to you. If you told me that tonight, once I do my due diligence, especially with somebody who's been doing it for 30 years, what is there to talk about, right? It's like having a tumor. If you had a tumor in your brain, right? If a surgeon said, hey, I've been doing this for 30 years, and another surgeon said, hey, I'm a surgeon, I've been doing it for 2 years, who you going with? Just think, that's what I'm saying. We have to make sure that we get into a situation where we're able to think through and make key decisions at key critical points. And if you already have the resource in place, it's a no-brainer. Why do we have a beautician? Why do we have a young lady that does our hair? A man that's a barber that cuts our hair, trim our beard, do all this, put twists in our hair. Why do we have that person? But if a person says, hey, if you ran into a legal problem, who would you call? If you draw a blank, if you like, that's a good question. That's when you need to put something in play. Not to say that you would need them right away, but you should be researching that before you need it. And then when you need it, you will have it. I don't need no hairdresser. Look at me. I don't need no hairdresser, but I need a good attorney. I need a great attorney. I need a great doctor. I need a great accountant. Those are the things that make the world go round. Not what are we doing? What are we talking about? So, just jumping into tonight's topic, head of household. So when I talk about head of household, it's not a male or female connotation. It's just what I said. It's head of household. So right now we have men and women in the U.S., especially in our community. And when I say our community, I'm talking about the African-American diaspora, right? All African-American, blacks, people from the Caribbean, people from Africa, people from, Spanish, Latino, whatever, right? But I'm saying in a minority community, and it happens in a majority community as well, somebody has to be the head of household. Now, you could do it jointly. So don't get me wrong. Don't start putting stuff in my TikTok live or on our Facebook live like, oh, men are this and women are that. We're not talking about men and women at this point. We're talking about the head of household. Head of household, and you may say, what is that? That's the person that I describe as they're going to make everything go. It's a go, right? And somebody has to be that person. It doesn't have to be a male. It could be a female. But somebody has to make the decision like, hey, we need life insurance. Like, oh, for real? Yeah, we need life insurance. Because guess what? One day, at an appointed time, at an appointed place, we going to leave. We out, right? So we know we got kids or we got loved ones or we got other family members that we want to make sure that we take care of. We need to have life insurance. Just something simple as, okay, what do we do? Well, somebody got to take the steps. Oh, we're going to reach out to this person or this firm or that. We need to do something to get things in place. Okay, right? So you start putting things in place. We need to make sure we file our taxes. Oh, what? Yeah, we need to file. I can't tell you the number of people and clients that I've worked with through the years. I've been doing financial literacy for over 25 years. 1998, that's over 25 years, right? That's 27 years ago. 27 years ago, I did my first financial literacy seminar, right? So I'm saying that to say some of these things that are important in life, we have to put them, somebody in the household has to put them in play. Now, if it's a single person household, then by default, you are the head of household. But even though it's just one person in the household, one adult maybe, right? So I just say a single mom or a single dad and the rest of children. That person still has to take on the responsibility to be the head of household. They have to make all of these key decisions to make sure that the family unit is taken care of. So if you don't have life insurance and you looking at this podcast, are you within the sound of my voice? Do some research and get you some life insurance, right? You can get something as simple, and don't get twisted, right? Because when somebody says, hey, get life insurance, don't get all twisted and worked up about, is it whole life? Is it term? Is it this? Is it? Get you what they call a final expense policy. Get you a final expense policy. And you may be asking yourself, if you don't know, if you're not aware of that, get you a final expense policy. What is that? That means this, for a man or a woman. You should not be on this planet for more than 18 years. You should not be on the planet for more than 18 years. And at some point, you get to, meet your maker or transition, and you haven't given any thought and put no action or execution behind getting life insurance policy. Because if you don't have a life insurance policy and something happens to you, young or old, right? Any nationality or ethnicity that you want to choose, but if something happens to you, why would you leave the responsibility of taking care of your final needs to somebody else? Like, to me, that's just irresponsible. If you older than 18, right? Because we know, and that's why and I know sometimes these are difficult conversations to have, but we know we spend a lot of money on a lot of different things, but we got to get the foundational things in place first. So a final expense policy is just what the name implies. It is just enough money to cover your final expenses. So you ain't got to worry about nobody like knocking you off or, they might be they're not trying to get rid of you. What they try to do is get you to take some action to take care of you. So that way, even when you transition, you could transition, right, as a stand-up guy or a stand-up young lady, because all that stuff is taken care of. So even after you leave this earthly plane, they can say, hey, she handled that. Now, you ain't got to leave, they say, you leave something for your kids. That's in the Bible. That's cool. You got to work towards that. I get that part. But the very least that you can do is make sure that whatever your final expenses are, that you've taken care of those, that you've addressed those, man or woman. And that's part of being, again, head of household, right? So what we're going to do now, I see we're at the bottom of the hour. We're at 7:26. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more of the Daily Bread Radio Show.
Being a lawyer, the writing skill that's required, the intellectual capacity that's required, the persuasive skills that are required, the average person doesn't have them. I'll tell my client, I don't fight for you, I fight with you. People need a voice, they need people to advocate for them.
Clients are like family here. Nobody is just a number. When it comes to client service, we want everyone to come out of here feeling better than they did when they came to us. There shouldn't be an idea in anyone's head that their case is not important enough.
But I use my experience as a criminal defense lawyer, my experience as a local government lawyer, and I bring it and borrow those skills to enhance my representation of personal injury clients.
I was commuting to work, and on my commute to work, got rear-ended by a motorcycle in a car. Woke up in the hospital, didn't know what was going on, and everything was a blur. 80% of my livelihood is being active. If I'm not able to show my athletes or show my clients how to do a drill, then they'll go somewhere else. As soon as I was released from the hospital, I saw the bills. And once I saw the bills, I was like, okay, this isn't my fault. I don't know where I'm gonna get this type of money from. And I remembered, I said, oh, let me call the Starkey Law Group. The law group actually understood that I needed to get back in the gym, that I needed to get back on my feet. They gave me a sense of calmness that I can do this and that they will be behind me 100%.
I'm very competitive. Played sports all my life, basketball, football, wrestled, did all of that stuff. And now my competition as it relates to the practice of law is making my law practice a viable entity to be able to reach a bunch of people and to help a bunch of people. And you can't do that just being a good lawyer. The Starkey Law Group lawyer is gonna be the superior knowledge lawyer in that courtroom.
If you're looking for someone who's knowledgeable, who's reliable, I wouldn't recommend anyone else but the Starkey Law Group.
We do everything in our power to win a case, from drafting appropriate pleadings in advance to showing up at the scene, equipping our clients to fight alongside us.
Here at the Starkey Law Group, we don't just fight for you.
We fight with you.
We're back. Hey, I got some good news for y'all. Hey, you got to make sure you go to Facebook. You got to go to Facebook, the Daily Bread Radio Show on Facebook. You got to go to YouTube Live. You got to go to Spotify. You got to go to TikTok. And then you got to do what? You got to like, follow, and subscribe to our channel, because each and every week we got to do what? Like, follow, subscribe, and share our entertainment to everybody that you know and like and you care about, because hey, this information is critical. We just had that commercial from the Starkey Law Group. So make sure that you all, if you got a legal issue, check them out. And our other sponsor, My College Finance. If you have a student in high school or college, make sure that you tap in to mycollegefinance.com. We're having a incredible webinar on the 27th of this month at 12 o'clock. If you go to the website and go into events, you will see it under the event section. The only thing you have to do is click on registration. It'll register you for the Zoom meeting. And you could come if you're the parent of a student or the grandparent of a student. We got to get these young people educated. They already know how to spend money. They spending money. It used to be they go to the mall and spend money, right? Like, I'm going to date myself. My kids used to be like, take me to the mall, take me to the shoe store. You ain't even got to do that no more. They just pick up the phone and start spending. It's on the phone. They just start, you don't even know. Till you get the bill, you're like, what's this? Like, oh, I brought some shoes. $200. Like, yeah. They just spend like that, right? So if they spending like that already, you got to start teaching them about credit. Credit is the new form of discrimination. I'm giving y'all some, hey, if you ain't got to believe me. I got the scars. I got the scars, the knots, all of that. I can show you exactly what happened with me, and you could take my story and be like, I don't want to be like him. I don't need that scar on my head. That knot on my head from all that got done, bad credit, bankruptcy, repo. How many people you see on TikTok or any social media come on and be like, man, I had a bankruptcy. Oh, they told me up. Oh my gosh, I had a repo coming from church on a Wednesday night. I already went to church on Sunday. I already told y'all about my tithing story, right? This when I was tithing $20, and I was doing my thing. I thought I was doing my thing anyway. But I came from church on a Wednesday night, pulled into my driveway, driving a green Ford Windstar minivan, 3 kids in my minivan. And when I pulled into that driveway and that Intrepid, that Dodge Intrepid silver 4-door coupe was no longer there. My kids lost their mind. They thought somebody had stole our car, and I said, man, the repo man got me. The repo, I'm coming from church. First thing, the first thing you know what I'm saying? That's mindset. Well, what's the first thing I said? Why I'm trying to do right? I'm just coming from church. I'm coming from church on Wednesday. I done been Sunday. I'm coming from church on Wednesday night trying to do right. And you don't take my car? Man, I was so hurt. And guess what? I still was the head of household, even after that. So think about how embarrassing that is when you're head of household. When you're head of household, get the car repossessed. Ain't that something? What kind of head of household are we fooling with, right? So the moral of the story is this, though. Even after all of that, that happened to my family, not my kids. Me, my wife. Shout out to my wife. Blessings, healing grace, and may God continue to heal your body, your mind, and your spirit. That's my girl, Tanya Thompson, a.k.a. TT. Much love to you. So, hey, couldn't do it without you. So, when that happened, when situations like that happen, when you're the head of household, you're going to be embarrassed. You're going to be ashamed. You're going to feel bad. You're going to feel some type of way. But here's the reality of it. It's happening every single day right now in 2025. Somebody got their car repoed today. Somebody went to work. What's today, Wednesday? No, day Thursday. Oh, yesterday when they went to church, because they didn't get me when I was at church, technically, because I was in the minivan. But when I got home, when I was at church, listen to this. While I was still at church praying with my kid, I had my 3 kids with me in church on a Wednesday night and my wife. So while we was praying as a family in church, guess what was happening? Deep, deep, deep. He hooked my goddamn car and drug it on the way from my house. I said, man, God, dog, why would you do me like that? But I had to learn a lesson. God was teaching me a lesson. God said, listen, you haven't learned how to manage money as the head of household. You haven't learned. So when you haven't learned a lesson, guess what God gonna do? Give you another one. He just gave me another. Like, we don't like the lesson. We want it to be our plan. It ain't our plan. It's God's plan. Shout out to TikTok. And let me tell y'all something about head of household. The other thing about head of household, too, is it's all about your mindset. Do you realize last week we was on this same platform? Me and my multi-million-dollar producer over here, right? I'm not going to tell y'all what they doing behind the scenes. I'm not going, you won't believe this? I'm doing an Emmy Award winning show. I'm not going to tell you what they doing. But they multi-millionaires, so look, when you a multi-millionaire, you do what you want to do. Like, who you talking to me? Hey, do your show. So I was like, if you don't have the right mindset, this is what happens. If you don't have the right mindset, God will continue to give you a series. He will give you a series of tests until you pass. And that's what he was doing. Yeah, I had a repo. I didn't like it. I was embarrassed. But guess what it did? It made me so mad and so angry at myself that it gave me the drive to sit down and research and find out. Not only did I find out about the repo process, the repossession process, I started looking at credit. I started studying financial literacy. I started studying investing, what to do with money. We talked about this last week. I didn't know what to do with money. I was making money, and I didn't know. I was just buying and doing and taking trips, and I had no idea how to manage money, how to eliminate debt. None of that, right? Because they didn't teach me none of that when I went to this. Let me move this thing out the way. This illustrious global, according to Forbes, the number one. So I don't want to hear nothing from Hampton. I don't want to hear nothing from Fam. I don't want to hear nothing from who else got something to say? Who else? Clark. I don't want to hear nothing from Morehouse. Forbes said for the second year in a row, Howard University, poke your chest out. Howard University is the number one HBCU in the land. Now, if you don't read Forbes, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? That's on you. But shout out. And what I found out was this. My really, really, really good friend and frat brother. Really, really good friend and frat brother. His son, listen to this. I just got so many. This head of household. His son goes to Howard. Listen to this. Now, you talking about major. I was like, damn. His son go to Howard. It's just September the 18th. He ain't been up there a month. He has not been on Howard campus a month. Howard has been there since 1867, right? I graduated from Howard, 30 years ago at this point, right? I was like, this young brother, my nephew, I call him my nephew, right? Because me and his dad are super close. He comes to Howard. He's been at Howard 1 month. 30 days. The day the 18th. He probably got up there around August 18th, right? Freshman. Forbes comes to campus to do a story on Howard. Just so happened, he's walking with some other students. They like, hey, can we get a photo of you all? He was like, yeah, sure. Then they interview him about his experience at Howard, right? This young man ends up being on the cover. Listen to this. He ended up being on the cover. This man is on the cover of Forbes magazine. Is he the big man on campus? So shout out to Bryce, man. I know about Howard. He living his best life. I hope dog can focus because he getting a lot of attention at this point. But yeah, shout out to Howard. But when we start talking about head of household, these are things that we talked about, life insurance. The other thing about being the head of household, you have to be in a position to make key decisions, not only for yourself, but for your family. So when I went through that repo, when I started studying all these different things, that impacted my family generationally, right? So when my kids became adults, I was able to use that teachable moment to show them this is how you manage the auto buying process, how you buy a car, how you pay for a car, right? And how you maintain those payments and how you get to the other side. I've been able to teach them that, and now I got grandkids. So guess what? When my grandkids come along, it's time for them to buy a car. That same embarrassing, teachable moment, I'm able to teach them, to show them like, hey, this is how you do it and this is how not to do it. Why? Because I just showed you that, right? So we talked about life insurance. We talked about auto, buying cars, managing debt, the consequences of not being able to manage debt. The other thing I want to talk about is some people call it retirement, right? But the reality of it is this. It may be retirement to some, but to some people, we're never going to retire per se. Like you just sit down and put your head back. Because I got a couple of close friends. They're retired, quote unquote, they're retired. They don't have to work, but they still, they're managing businesses or doing different things. And some are just, working a little part-time here and there, but everything is in place. At some point, that individual, as the head of household, had to make some decisions about what's going to impact me, what's going to impact my wife, what's going to impact my kids, What's going to impact my grandkids? From a retirement standpoint, am I going to work until it's all over? Or will I be able to put some things in place that as I get older, and I thought about this too, I was like, damn, 59 and a half, I remember when they was telling me that when I was 26, when I first started looking at investing. They said, you can't touch this money until you 59 and a half. I said, oh man, I'll be old. 59, I'll be old. I'll be so old. I'll be old, so old. 59 and a half. Guess when that is? Next year. Next year, I'll be so old. Next year, 59 and a half, but then I'll be able to take some money out of my investments without penalty. But on a serious note, as the head of household, you got to make sure that you have a plan and you thinking about how you gonna spend the next 30 years, right? Because I'm 58, and it's people are living longer now. People are living well into their 80s, into their 90s. But even if you lived another, say I lived another 20 years, right? I still got to have enough income in order to cover everything that I need to be covered. My living expenses, if I want to travel, if I have automobiles, if I have automobile loans, if I have house notes, or if I've eliminated the house notes while I was young and paid everything off. However, I strategize and put that together in conjunction with me, my wife and I, right? It still is going to come out with somebody has to be the head of household to make sure things just keep running. Somebody has to be in charge of just making sure that everything keeps running. And like I said, it's not about one person or the other having more responsibility or more, but just in the grand scheme of things, somebody, and that's how it is in business. That's how it is in, when you work on a sport. If you're a part of a sports team, all sports teams have a head coach. Every team that I watch, basketball, football, baseball, everybody got a head coach. Somebody has to be in charge, not to say they better or they know more than everybody else, but somebody has to lead, right? Somebody has to lead the group. So as the head of household, you got to be thinking about retirement. You got to be thinking about those years when you're not going to be able to make the same type of money, meaning just from a labor standpoint, you may not be able to just go out and just toil and just, I'm going to just go to work. I'm going to work overtime. I'm going to work double time. You can't do that because your body won't allow you to do that at that age. So that's when you have to make sure that you say, hey, I'll put some things in place and I'm ready when that time period comes. And if you're not, and here's the other part about the Daily Bread radio show. Here's the reality of it. And if you're not in position to do that right now, it's okay. It's okay, because that's the thing about social media. People get so wrapped up in looking at this person and looking at that person. Oh, they all set. They set. They got this. They this. No, they not. No, they not. If you could go behind the scenes, like we showing you with this green screen, it's the same thing in life. People are showing this facade that everything is good. Everything is in place. I got all the money I need. I got all of this and all of that. But that's not the full story. And that's not your story. Your story is to get to the point where you understand what God's plan. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm going to say it real slow. When you get to the point where you can understand what God's plan is for you, what your plan is and your purpose is through God. It ain't this you can't be looking at her plan. You can't be looking at his plan. It's what's your plan, right? And what does God have planned for you? So that way you ain't worried about it. You going to sleep worried about, she got a Birkin bag. I don't have a Birkin bag. But what good is you having a Birkin bag and you don't really have no money to put in the Birkin bag? It don't make sense to me. Gucci, you got Gucci outfit, no bread in the bank, struggling. Who want to struggle forever? I'd rather not have any of that and be able to say, hey, you know what? I saved. I remember when I first started learning how to save money. I got so excited. I had $1,000, and you would have thought I had 10,000 or 100,000 or even 1,000,000. I was so excited to have $1,000 in my account. It was amazing. It was because it was the first time I did something like that. It was amazing. So I have these, and I tell these stories because I know for a fact a lot of people that are listening on TikTok, a lot of people that are on social media, a lot of people that's tuning into the Daily Bread Radio Show, they there right now. They're working so hard. They're trying to make ends meet, and they have no reserves. That's a head of household mindset that we have to change and be in a safe environment where nobody's going to judge you, or nobody's going to be, like, oh, you should have more than that by now. That's your mindset or your mentality. Nobody don't have to tell you that. You'll tell yourself, oh, I should be this by now. I should have. I'm like, nah, that's not God's plan for you. Why you worrying about what somebody else doing? Figure out and focus on your plan. What plan does God have for you? What things are you trying to manifest in your life as the head of household? So we've talked about life insurance. We've talked about, retirement. We've talked about being able to manage auto loans and these different types of, bills that you may have. The other thing that you want, I can't leave this topic without talking about this because this is a big one. Head of household, you have to get extremely good at managing debt. You have to get very good at managing debt because it is a very complex, complicated subject that a lot of people struggle with throughout their lives because they never get to the point where they can really manage it at the end of the day, right? Because sometimes you're not making enough money and you've already accumulated too much debt. Sometimes you're making, a lot of money. And even when you've made a lot of money, you still are struggling and you can't understand, like, I'm making a lot of money. How can I still be struggling? How can I still be struggling and I make this type of money? And then your mindset kick in. Now you got a mental health issue because now you're feeling really, clinically you depressed. But you won't allow yourself to go and get no professional help because everybody's telling you you're doing so good, you're making so much money, life is good, I wish I was like that, and do. But clinically, and I'm telling you as a healthcare professional, clinically, you're depressed. You're depressed because every day, the majority of your day is consumed by thoughts of just struggling. How do I know that? Because I've been there. I've done that. I'm talking about when you go to sleep on that. You wake up in the middle of the night on that. When you wake up the next morning, you're back on that. And that's all you can think about is how can I get from under this burden, this huge black cloud. But the first thing you got to do is forgive yourself and say, hey, it's going to be all right. You got to forgive yourself and know that it's going to be all right. Otherwise, you just going to go deeper and deeper into that state, and it's not going to be helpful. Nor can you be creative as the head of household. Now, you can't be the head of the household and not be able to have the resilience to come back from defeat. Because we all have been defeated in certain things. Some people had losses. Some people had relationship breakups. Some people had businesses to fail. Some people, tried to invest in something, and investment, it turned from a great investment to a terrible investment. And you lost all your life savings and all. But you have to have the mindset and the spirit of resilience to say, hey, it don't matter if you didn't get the results that you wanted the first time. Do it again. Do it again, right? No matter what somebody say, think, or tell you what you should do it again. Get back in there and do it again. Oh, you lost the first time? Do it again. See if you lose again. Do it again. But sometimes we get so caught up into what we have and what we don't have that we never really get around to saying, hey, you know what? I forgive me for making these mistakes, these financial mistakes that have gotten my family into this situation. And now all my money got lost in this deal, or the business didn't go. I tried to be an entrepreneur. I left my job. It don't matter. That's life. That's life, and we live in it. So ain't no need to get upset about that. The only thing you can do is, hey, get up, dust yourself off. You got to be able to laugh about it. Because if you can laugh about it, it's going to be good. But you got to come back and have a plan. You have to acknowledge that you may have made a mistake, but you have to learn from those lessons. You have to learn from that lesson. So that way, when you get back into it, you can come back and do it again. And I'm going to give you a great example of mindset. My multi-millionaire producer over here, I'm not going to tell y'all what she's doing right now, but she's multi-millionaire producer. We was joking last week. Last week I was on here. Shout out to my nephew, Sauce God. Sauce God. Make sure y'all follow him. He doing some incredible stuff, man. He's a super trainer, fitness guy. And he always shouts me out when he get on there. But I'm going to tell you a quick little story because we getting to the end of the show. Last week, my producer and I had the TikTok live on, and we was laughing because I had 39 people. I had 39 people on the show. So I was so excited because I had 39 people. I was like, oh my gosh, I got 39 people. Oh my goodness. And up here where it says my name and then how many hearts and that kind of stuff, had 39 hearts. Now I'm still learning TikTok, so I'm not tripping. But this is a podcast mentality that you have to have. If you start a podcast or if you have a show or you want to start a show, you cannot stop. You cannot be looking at this screen because it'll say 39 hearts or it'll say 10 views or it might say 1 view, right? And you'll get discouraged and you'll say, hey, ain't nobody looking, don't nobody care, and you will stop. That's when you lost. Tonight, a week later, I get on here, it says 2.2 thousand hearts. Now, I know my nephew had a lot to do with that. Shout out to my nephew. I appreciate you. Much love to you, brother. Much love to you, because I know he did a lot of that. He's starting to learn a lot because he invited me to his lives and all this kind of stuff, but I'm learning. But I'm saying that to say this. In life, it's never what you think it is. It's never what it looks like. So what you have to do is just keep a strong bond with God or whatever creator that you believe in. Make sure your bond is tight. Forgive yourself and keep working towards all of your financial goals. So as the head of household, you are going to make some mistakes, but you got to make sure that you are able and courageous enough and bold enough to cover the things that you know that need to be covered. Life insurance, retirement, bills, managing money. You have to be able to do all these different things so that way when it comes time for you to utilize all of these things, they'll be in place for you, right? So with that being said, I want to thank everybody that joined on TikTok. I want to thank everybody that joined us on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Spotify. Make sure that you check us out every Thursday night right here. And if you're thinking about doing a podcast, make sure that you check out iSpace 2 right here in Marietta. You can't have my slot. I'm the #1 personality in the building. I know they got people from radio stations and movies. None of that. I'm the man. This is my show. This is my things. But if you want to, come start your thing, hey, start it right here. They got some multi-million-dollar producers that's cameras, lights, camera, action. They're going to take care of all of that for you, and they're going to help you live out your dream. So with that being said, we'll see you all here next week, 8 o'clock, same place, same time, for more of the Daily Bread Radio Show.
I don't think I need an advisor or a coach to tell me to save my money. I know how to do it.
My name is Joaquin Thompson, Sr. Like millions of Americans, I struggled financially for many years because I was never taught the basics of personal finance. Today, I'm a financial literacy expert, author, and speaker that teaches students and adults the basic components of financial literacy.
Thing I try to teach women in small businesses to understand, to have a short elevator pitch.
In the entertainment industry, we live in the moment. You know, it's all about being present.
The minister already got a jet. He already has a helicopter. So why do I need to be giving more money to the church? So
the magic of the moment happens in the moment. But that don't apply for finances. You know, that works for being creative.
Right. My goal is to educate, motivate, and elevate people to master the basics of personal finance. I show students and adults how to go from struggling to creating a secure financial future for generations to come.
And it's not a function for most folk of what you can or cannot afford. It's what you choose to afford.
Wow. Welcome to the Daily Bread with Joaquin Thompson Sr.
As a church, I always like to tell the members, Georgia Power